Thank you all for joining in. My name is Adam Bauman. Today, we are going to be talking with my good friend Celso Gutierrez. Celso and I go way back. We were in the Border Patrol together on the same BORTAC team. We got all kinds of crazy stories, great stories in regards to BORTAC, the military. So I'm glad you're here. So stay tuned for more. All right, so good afternoon. I'm here with my good friend Celso Gutierrez with Sun City SITREP. Hey, Celso, today we're going to talk about the military, Border
Sure,
Patrol.
let's do it.
Any politics that you
All that fun
come
stuff
to mind?
all that fun stuff we had going on back in the day.
So the military, Celso, what did you do in the military?
Military, you know what? I joined it back in '92. At that time, I was from San Antonio originally, so that's one thing. I'm originally from San Antonio, but I've lived most of my life here in El Paso. Uh, but I joined it back. I was just a free spirited kid. I just wanted to do my own thing. I always did my own thing back in the '80s. Yeah, I'm old. So I always signed up for football by myself. I always did everything on my own. So I found myself like working at the hotels down at San Antonio at the Hyatt Hotel, working night shift. Out of school, and I'm like, I was going to a little bit of college, and then I said, you know what, let me do something else. I want to do something else. Let me try to join the military. So it was between two branches, Army or Marines.
What year was that, Celso?
Oh my goodness, that was back in I joined it in '92. I graduated in '88 from high school, so I was just working and going to a little community college. I was actually taking mortuary science. I wanted to be a mortician and a funeral director at that time. So I was attending that class, working nights though. So it was a full schedule and it was too much. At that time, I didn't have the discipline, so it was like all night and then school full time. I was sleeping maybe an hour or two, and it was just too much. And at the time, I had a girlfriend. So my whole thing was, you know what? I see myself at this dead end job doing the same thing my sisters and brothers had been doing. They're just working and partying, and I said I don't want to do that. So I went ahead and joined up the Army. I joined up the Army, was sent out to Fort Knox, Kentucky for my basic training. I came back to San Antonio because I was in the medical field. Was there when I ran into a Special Forces sergeant, and I go, man, I want to go SF. So within a month of being on reserves, he had me assigned here to El Paso, and I had never heard of El Paso before. So I came over here in June. In June, it was super hot. I'm wearing my Class A's, walking around the Fort Bliss, and man, I'm like, what did I get myself into, man? It was hot, and it's a different kind of heat from San Antonio. San Antonio, the humidity over here is a dry heat. So I did a couple years there, met my wife here, had our first daughter, had our oldest daughter here, then went to Germany, had the youngest there, Katarina, and then after being there in Germany for maybe I did 6 years, I decided to get out.
Did you deploy anywhere?
I went to Kuwait after the war. It was right after the war. I went in Kuwait, and with third ACR afterwards, a medical site support squadron, med troop, and we were at Camp Doha for a little while, which is really nice, and that's it. I stayed there and still came in contact with. At that time, my wife was my girlfriend, so we hooked up with a lieutenant colonel. At that time, his son was Special Forces, so I still had that Special Forces bug, and his son was actually an SF. So the team that was there took us out to go eat. We had MREs, and these guys had their own dining facility. The SF guys, they had it good. Yep. They had their own dining facilities, and they would just raise their hands up, and they'd come and refill their drinks, and I'm looking at them like, man, these guys got it good. But then when it was time to go, because we'd be in the gym working out with these guys, and they'd all get a phone call or something, and they were gone. And I'm like, and I spoke to one sergeant about joining the SF, and I asked him, I said, how often have you been at home? Because at that time we were expecting our firstborn, and he said, I've been at home 2 weeks out of the whole year. He goes, and it hasn't been 2 weeks straight. So that sort of killed it for me. I was like, man, I can't. Now my wife and my daughter, I said, no, I can't do that right now.
That's one thing about negative about even the military in general is the
Yeah.
time away from the family. I
Yeah.
spent, back in 97, 98, 99, I spent most of those years down in South America, just conducting operations and
Yeah, that's
with
one.
the Navy.
Yeah, it's one thing I didn't know. I just found out recently about you that because we've been in. Also, we were the Border Patrol together, and we were in that SRT BORTAC team. I didn't know that you had done some special ops in the military.
Yeah, I was actually I was a SWCC operator. That's Special Warfare Combatant Crewman.
That's crazy.
Tried out during boot camp, 1997. Got selected. I made the initial times for the selection, which allowed me to go to SWCC Basic after boot camp. So I went down there and I was in Coronado for 6 months. And then I went to Special Boat Unit 22 down in Mississippi on a Stennis Space Center. And from there, I just deployed down to Panama, Bolivia, Venezuela, Peru, Costa Rica, Ecuador. A lot of South American. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go over to Europe or anything like that. But that was our AORs, South
Oh,
America.
that's nice. No, man, I didn't know that about you. I know you had done some military, but we were so busy when we were in the Border Patrol was taking care of what we've been taking care of. We never really. I mean, we were all close, somewhat, but we never really spoke about our military past. We just figured, oh, that guy's, we knew who was military, who wasn't.
I think that's why we all got along so well, because pretty
Yeah.
much everybody was prior military.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
At that time, yeah, which brought discipline and everything else, somewhat.
Hey, what
Still
made
crazy.
you join the Border Patrol from after being in the military?
Well, you know what? I was there in Germany, and I mean, I didn't want that for my girls to always be moving because a lot of the guys were moving. They would move them, and the kids are just constantly going everywhere, one school to the next school. And I didn't want that for our daughters, and they were little. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna try some kind of law enforcement. So I flew in. As a matter of fact, they had me on camera a long, long time ago. I came on one of the news stations here. I flew in from Germany to take the test for the El Paso PD. And they were following me around with cameras, and I'm like, what's going on? And then these people were like, are you famous? I'm like, no. I'm just a military guy from Germany coming in to take the test. That's it. And but they made a big deal out of it, which is it was nice, and I took the test, I passed, whatever written was. But then I had the board, and at that time I was working. I got out of the military over in Germany. I had a week off, and then I started working Texas Tech security at that time. So I was doing that, and of course, there I go again working nights. So the police department had the board for me on a certain day at a certain time, and it was right after my shift, my midnight shift. So I'm like, oh man, I'm tired. And then the Border Patrol, I said, I want to go federal. I said, that's a good one. Let me try that. That's something. Some bug just got into me and say, go federal because of all my past, the past military.
Right.
And the PD had an interview for me, and it was right after midnight, and I felt I was out of it. I was tired. I remember sitting on the board, and I remember the officers asking me questions and scenarios, what have you. And one particular gentleman on the board, I guess he realized that I was, sort of, just lethargic, just tired.
Right. Yeah.
And that's all it took for him to say, hey, he goes, are you tired or something? And I go, yes, sir. I said, I just finished working midnights and I'm a little tired. And he's like, well, we work doubles, triples. You guys just got to suck it up. And it was funny how he said that. And it just upset me. And I'm like, really? I'm like, wow. I was like, I'm like, I don't have to. At that time, I was still a little bit, young and a little bit upset. And I was just like, just the way he said it, sort of like turned me off to the whole thing. I still kept on the scenarios. And then, as a matter of fact, later on that afternoon, I had to get my physical for the Border Patrol. And I didn't want to give them false readings, like blood pressure up, and I hadn't slept. So I was more concerned about the federal. And I'm like, I should have just gone to federal. But my wife was like, no, you don't want to burn bridges. Go to this board and then go to that one. But I was exhausted. So that's all it took. It is funny how just one person like that could change everything. Because then later on, when we were in the SRT BORTAC thing, we're going to go do some warrants. A couple of years after all that, I saw that same gentleman walking out of some office. And I'm like, man, I remember this guy. He was the same one that said, I don't. And then I asked about him, and they're like, that dude just is on the desk the whole time. And I was just like, figures, the wannabe tough guy, was the one coming at me that never did anything. But I just let it go. I was just like, whatever, I'm having fun. But yeah, all it took was that one guy, the one comment, and that was it, But
Yeah, we actually stood up the first McAllen sector boat program, right, at Special
McAllen?
Unit 22. That's how I got introduced to the Border Patrol, right?
That's how you
so
did
some
it?
agents came up to Stennis Space Center. We worked 3 months with them, right? And I was very young. I was E4 in the
Okay.
Navy, even though I was doing a really awesome job.
Yeah.
I wasn't making very much money, right? So got to talking to these Border Patrol agents that made a lot more than I was making.
Yeah,
So that actually helped me do the interview, the application. I did my oral interview down in Gulfport, Mississippi, while I was in the Navy. And as soon as I got out, I went to the academy.
And that's a big misconception nowadays, because people see, like, even when I was looking for Border Patrol, and they have a pay scale, right? They give you a pay scale, and it's like 30, 40, and it's always like on forums now, and people are like, look how much they get paid. No wonder anybody can do it. And I'm like, no, they're not taking into account the midnights,
Right.
all these differentials,
Yeah.
all these extra money that comes with it. I mean, you got some guys making, at my highest at the time, I think it was making maybe like 130, 140, within a year.
With the extra pays, the incentives.
Yeah, with all that extra incentives and then all the
Yeah.
stuff that we were doing. So I'm like, that's not bad, man.
That's one thing you don't get. Unfortunately, that's not something
Yeah.
you get paid in the military. You don't get paid.
And I
for
didn't
any
have
extra
a
hours.
college degree, still doing. I can barely spell my name, but I mean, that was not bad, for somebody like that, and that's because you see it. I see 38, 40 something. I'm like, but you get all that. There's so much more pay involved in it, if you want it. There's a lot more. But regardless of I wasn't even looking at that. I just wanted to do something law enforcement.
Okay, so now that we have a new president,
That's
right?
right.
So
Oh, you see my hat?
love the hat. Our border policy is going to change, right? It's going to go back to more closed borders in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm assuming more people are going to be led to maybe join the Border Patrol now that we're back to regular operations. What do you think
Well-
would entice somebody to join the Border Patrol?
Join the Border Patrol. Well, if you want some action, because there's always customs, but customs, you're always on the bridge, you're smelling all the fumes. Border Patrol, if you want to be on your own, because we know we both done it where we were chasing groups back then in the 90s of 80, 90, and you're by yourself. So, that's, you can't be scared, you can't be afraid of anything like that. You hope your training kicks in. But if you want some action, you can be an ATV instructor like I was. We could do K9 like you did.
And that's something that's
special
not
ops.
highlighted. I don't think it's highlighted enough for the
No.
Border Patrol. Is there's so many different
There's so many.
avenues you can take once you get to a station, right?
Yeah.
There's so
And
many
you don't
things can
want to chase people. There's PIO. There's a lot of office jobs that pay very well. People are very. I mean, it's all on your strengths, I guess. Is if you like to go out there and work and be chasing and knocking down doors. There's that. If you want to go instruct in the academy to teach physical fitness or anything, there's that avenue. You want to teach it at your station. There's that. I mean, there's so many different things that you can build pretty good resume out of if you do. I mean, or you could just sit there and just do your 8 hours and go home. And then, which we never did.
So when you talk about BORTAC, what led you to joining BORTAC? I know for me, I've always wanted to join BORTAC.
Yeah.
As soon as I did my oral interview and they showed you a video,
Yeah,
I knew that's exactly what I want to do. So 2 years in, I was applying to go to the academy.
they make it look
BORTAC.
like. Well, I mean, it is. They but as long as it just something different instead of just being just a for me, and I remember getting into it with a lot of the agents at the time, getting into like arguments because. I remember one particular time I was originally in Las Cruces, a checkpoint agent, and then I went and did that and got that and then went back to Cruces. I would go back before I joined the actual special operations detachment, the team where you're constantly doing all that. It's just that's all you do is train,
Right.
lift weights, work out, shoot. Send you to a lot of classes. SF, Delta Force guys come in and teach us all kinds of different things, and you're sent to tons of schools. But between that, I would go back to Las Cruces to go work. And I remember there was a canine handler, and they they were all discussing about how they don't get the weekends off, and at that time and this and that they're arguing, and because I was there, I came back and I already had some seniority. They were saying like kind of like it wasn't fair, and I turned it back around. I said, wait a minute. I go, do you realize how many Christmases I've missed? How many birthdays? We're up in the mountains, and in Deming, Lordsburg, in Costa Rica or Guatemala. We're out there running around. I said, and y'all guys go home after 10 hours, and then they turn around, and then they told me, well, you chose to do that. So they try to reverse it on me, and I go, wait a minute, just because I chose to do something more than just sit around at the checkpoint and wave, or whatever. Not saying that it's bad, but they were trying to get after me because I decided to seek more. And they're
Well,
trying
I think that's a stark difference between mentalities of
Yes.
and a lot of we're all
Agents.
prior military, right?
Yeah.
So I think that has to do a lot with who applies for BORTAC and the special operations.
Yeah, you want to do more, and then PT instructor, I mean, all that stuff, and just kept on going. Even though I've had tons of injuries, like we both have tons of surgeries because of on the job injuries, because we didn't want to sit around. I mean, we could have decided to sit around and just do our regular whatever, like we've seen many times before, and those agents, they used to call them slugs or whatever because they didn't want to do anything. I'm gonna be real. And then there was some people that didn't want to work with me because of the way I was. A sensor would go off or something would happen. I'm there, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're not just supposed to just sit around and watch movies or just relax. I mean, yeah, there's downtime. There is a lot of downtime, but then when something happens, you got to be on it. And
So
you got to be
I'll
ready.
remind you. So we would be out there we'd be out there 24 hours a day
Yep.
up in the mountains. We
Yep.
wouldn't be getting paid. We'd be lucky if we got 2 hours overtime.
Yeah.
Per day.
Yeah, and that's another thing. They, everybody else is getting their regular pay, and because we decided to do what we did, yeah, we'd be up there in Deming, Lordsburg, freezing, cold, rain. We had all the weathers, all the temperature, and we were only getting 8 hours plus maybe maybe a 2 hour overtime after being out there for a week or 2 weeks.
And then people ask, well, why do you do it? It's because I love that job.
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Being out in the desert, even the mountains,
On ATVs.
and sacking up dopers, the bad guys.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
that adrenaline rush and
Yeah,
doing
and
what you got to do to keep everybody safe.
yeah, we remember we were on ATVs. We had some fun adventures with our ATVs.
Yes.
I mean, we're getting paid to ride, and people are like, "Oh man, you're lucky you're getting paid." I said, "Man, not when you're riding, 20 hours a day, and then you get to go home or try to sleep for 3 hours, and you're back on them." I said, "That's not fun. That's a beating. And it messes with you. I think law enforcement as a whole does something to where, I mean, and that's unfortunate. You can get to the side of why the people are passing away, sort of quick because of all that stress. I mean, you're on very high stress, and then all of a sudden, you can't just shut it down. You retire, and a lot of the officers, you seen them, their health goes bad, or they're used to that. I guess the body's used to that stress, and you can just cut cold turkey. You
Well,
got to
'cause
keep doing
It's very
something.
common, especially Border Patrol agents, right? We just had you had a classmate pass away recently.
Yeah,
It's very common for that to occur.
He was an awesome guy, man. A union president, highly stressed out with always fighting with a union, and he did a lot of good though, man. He helped out a lot of people, and then he got severely injured on an ATV accident, and he was out and still getting surgeries, but unfortunately, I don't want to, I don't know what happened. I just know I wasn't sure if it was a heart attack, but he was just a couple years younger than me, and we were classmates, and it's just sad because I knew his kid. Well, I still know his young boys, all three of them, since they were babies, since they were little. He would wrestling. He taught them, wrestling, and we just had the funeral last week, and I kept in contact with him all the time. And then another gentleman also that he was a lawyer. He passed away the next day, a heart attack. But as far as agents, I mean, oh my goodness, I've been to so many funerals when I was in, because I was, part of the honor guard, and that's a hard thing to do too, man. When you're in the honor guard, and you're working with somebody, you're as an agent, regular agent, you're working with someone, then they pass away, and these people, you know them. You've come, you work with them. You would see them every day. You talk, about their families, and then all of a sudden you're there at their services rendering the honors, and it just, man, it's hard, but you got to do it, because that's something else that's like, wow, it just brings that the mortality, just like, man, I got to take care of myself, I got to do, try, but it's, it's all in God's hands. We can say what we want, but he's the one that wakes us up. He can choose not to wake me up or do it. So I praise that now. I wasn't always like this, but
so it's important. I think you got to stay fit, right? So after,
fit, yes.
even after you retire, you got to stay active.
You got to do something. You got to do something.
Go for a run, even if you walk. I mean, something to keep your heart and everything else.
Keep it going and get some mental. I mean, do some hobbies. Get some hobbies done. It'll just, they're just, because I was getting a little bit. Right when I retired, I was feeling a little bit down because I'm like, man, I can still do the job. I had an injury and I still have it. I've had so many surgeries, but I'm like, I can still do the job. And everybody was like, oh, thank you. On social media, oh, it was nice working with you. It was awesome. And I'm like, man, it's just like you just discard it. You're like, okay, bye. You don't get the calls anymore. You don't get the invitations to the parties. But then it's like, okay, I went through that for a little phase, and I'm like, it's fine. That was it. That was another life. Now let's go. Now let's go do something else. Now I got grandkids. I can teach them, all the stuff that I was taught. I taught my daughters shooting, knife fighting, everything. I'm like, who else do I teach?
Talk about switching gears to injuries. So I know you've had a bunch of injuries.
Yes.
Like myself, I think I had 5 total surgeries in the Border Patrol. What do you think? Think back to one. What do you think the worst one?
The worst
on-duty injury you had was?
Well, right now this shoulder is still going on. It's still going on. I'm still fighting on that. But that one has really. I can push and pull, okay, but there's still really really bad restrictions on the shoulder, and I'm still trying to get that going. But one of the first injury I had was doing the combatives course that they sent us. They sent us because of the they sent us to the combatives course, and we're going against different entities, different sheriffs or whatever. And this one guy used a move that we were taught the day before that tears your ACL. Well, it worked because he used it on me, and I'm like, you're not supposed to. I'm like, what? And it sure did. And I still had to stay there. At the time, Special Forces sergeant was teaching the class, and
this is on Fort Bliss, right?
No, this is in Santa Fe. We had to go to we had to drive all the way to Santa Fe, and then with my right leg. So I drove all the way over there, and man, this thing, as soon as he hit it, I could feel something. I felt like I had 3 knee pads on in my right knee, super tight. And then that night at the hotel, it swelled up. In the morning, I couldn't even really lift it up to get in the shower. It was bad. But they did an X-ray. Of course, the X-ray's not going to show anything. So I still had to stay there in order to get my certificate. So I kept tearing it up. I would, muscle memory. We were shooting, we were doing all this stuff, and at that time, I would go. It was our muscle memory to go down to one knee when we're doing exchanges, magazine exchanges, what have you. And so I automatically went down to my right knee, and I felt it like it sounded like when you take the cartilage off the chicken bone. And I was sweating, and but I still stayed on with my handgun down range. And the Special Forces sergeant, he looked at me. He looked at me because I was like sweating. And he goes, "Oh, you're good. You're done. You're good." I'm like, "Oh man," because I had already done the course of fire. But I was like, "Oh, this is bad." But I came back home and they did an MRI, and I had ACL, MCL, IT band all ripped, and my leg got super skinny. It was 9 months. That one was pretty bad.
Because you were out for 9 months, right?
Yeah, I was out for 9 months, and then it became something in my mind to go run on it because we still had to pass our PT test for our BORTAC SRT thing. So we had to do that, and I'm like, when the first time I ran the track, I felt like it was gonna snap, but it never did, thank goodness. But then I tore up a meniscus on the same leg. Then I tore the ACL again on the same leg. Then the medial meniscus on the other leg tore because of overcompensation, and now I got my left shoulder all on the job. Well,
if you remember, I was the patrol canine handler, the bite dog handler, right? So, I mean, anytime we were rappelled out of the helicopter or fast roped,
you had the dog.
I had the dog on in like a backpack. So there I was with all my gear and the Malinois. He was a 90-pound Malinois. I came a little too fast down the fast rope, and I really injured my knee. Well, tore the meniscus is what it did. So I was out for 6 months for
And-
that injury.
And then your shoulder too, huh?
And my shoulder too. Yep.
I remember
Well,
that one.
That was when it was SRT. Right? I got into a fight down in by that what's that hospital? Used to, the one that's
UMC, Providence,
no,
Del Sol,
the one that's
Sierra?
down off of it's they have a children's hospital now, right off of
Texas Tech, the Texas
yeah, that-
Providence, Texas
it's not
Tech.
Providence. It's no. It used to be called you guys
Yeah.
recall?
Anybody?
What's that?
The one over there on Paisano?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a children's hospital, right?
Yeah, but it's not. Is it UMC? It is UMC.
Is it UMC? Oh, you got in a
It
fight
used to
there?
be called something else back in the day.
When you were,
I don't recall,
you were
but-
chasing or
Yeah,
what?
on the railroad tracks right behind it. Yeah, I was I just passed at that time SRT, and I was all high strung, and I'm ready to go, and
And
two
boom.
guys jumped the fence into a house, and I was going after them. Well, I'm gonna get these guys, and yeah, they went to a garage, and it was really tight inside that garage, and I got one of them, and I pinned him against the wall, and the other guy went the other way, and it tore my shoulder really good. So
Oof.
that was out for 4 months on that one.
Oh man, yeah, it's
I
all the
mean,
injuries.
all these injuries that we occur on the job, right?
Yep.
But we keep going back.
Yep,
And
yep.
I think it really says a lot for the individual because, I mean, BORTAC related, we're all injured. Right? And
Everybody's beat
everybody
up.
keeps chugging along to go do the job after they're healed up.
Yeah, yeah. And then I know I was doing some training too with some MMA guys around here with the Bushido back in the day, and then with Mando Rosales. Shout out to Mando and old Hugo Sida from Bushido and Mando from Zen. I was training with those guys for a while, and every time I'd go and show up and train with them, it was hilarious because these guys were, some of them, they fought professionally, and but the guys know that I would show up, and I was usually the oldest guy there, but I always had something wrong with my leg or my, something. Always a surgery coming up, and they would attack the leg, and I'm like, hey, no, guys, not that one. So they're like, oh, okay. So, and they were really nice, they were like, they weren't there to destroy anything, and these guys, they're still, my friends to this day, and yeah, I remember doing that training, and everywhere I'd go, they sent us to a lot of schools, so doing some grappling and all that stuff. But man,
Yeah, they sent me to Fort Bliss to do the Army Combatives level
Yeah.
1 and 2, but nobody else could go except me. So I was like by myself with a bunch of
Army guys,
Army guys. Yeah,
oh, that's
and
a hard course.
There was a
Man.
big. I don't know if he was from Slovakia. He was just a big European guy with an accent, right? Of course, they paired us up together because when you
Mirko Krokop
you have
or
to
something.
you have to hit the other person. I don't know if you guys did that in class. You have to, and they say if you go light, they're gonna do it. You're gonna do it again until you do it hard. So he hit me as hard as he could and about spun my head around. I mean, about knocked me out. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
So then it was my turn, of course, and I gave him all I got too. So, but yeah, you're just sitting there hitting each other. I'm like, man, this is
That's
odd.
crazy. Yeah, I was like, okay, it's like slap, like
Yeah, it was open hand.
like
yeah, but-
that slap competition they have nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Slap, whatever it is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But no, we put our bodies through a lot, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't know, or especially our families. And then I never turned it off at the time. I didn't know how to decompress, so a lot of it I would take it home, and a lot of law enforcement take it home. And that's my advice now because one of my neighbors, he's a police officer, he's brand new, and he just came out of the military. He's brand new. He's a police officer now, and I always just try to give him some advice. Don't bring it home, as best you can. Don't leave it. Decompress. 30 minutes. What they say that 30 minutes. Your wife not to talk to you or whatever, or vice versa. Don't say nothing until you really decompress. Because
And it's hard. It's
It
hard
is.
to decompress. I mean, you may try, and that 30
especially
minute
getting
ride
into
home.
shootouts. Yeah, especially
it's
if you got
difficult.
into shootouts or like
Mhm.
we did into some high stress, but it becomes like natural. I mean, not I want to say natural, but you get used to it. You're just like, it's not a big deal, and because you're trained so much, it just becomes muscle memory. But then when you get home, you don't know how all that stuff affects you. And I was always watching, cops or watching more. Oh, you watch some UFC. It was always more shooting and fighting, and it just kept going, kept going. And the family, got a hold of that too because they would see the results. At that
Yeah.
time I was, messed up.
The good thing is, that, when you deploy as a team with BORTAC, you don't go home, right, because you're away from home. So, but the bad thing is that you don't go home and you're still trying to decompress, and almost it's like you shut out your family all together because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not decompressing with them. You're decompressing with your teammates,
Yeah. Or in the
So-
hotel room by yourself, just
Right.
watching TV or just like, okay.
in which, sadly leads to a lot of divorces.
Yes.
In the teams.
No,
That is
yeah.
one negative aspect.
Yeah, it leads to a lot of divorces. Yeah, because there's some, there was some, yeah, we've all seen it. When we go to different places, everybody, would put their rings away or whatever, and that's up to the individual, But yeah, I mean, we all, we've all been there. We've all been, I know I was there for a long time. I was just being totally, stupid, lost, and that's something I can relate to. Very, very bad. And my poor wife, I put her through it. But now, that's why I started reading the Bible, started going to Bible study. With that, that's helped me immensely. And I mean, there's still stuff up here, in my head that I still got to fight off. But it's easier with that.
When you talk about, okay, we'll take Tucson, for example. We spent a lot of time in Tucson,
Oh,
right?
that was a bad.
We have long days in Tucson. You were chasing, when you
Hundreds.
recall, it wasn't like one or two sign of people. It was like a highway.
Yeah, highway. And
of
you decided
individuals
which
that you're
one.
following,
Which one do you want to pick?
Which made it easy, right? 'Cause it's like a highway of footprints, right? But I mean, they're long days, and you got to burn that steam off somehow. So everybody goes out, and drinks,
Goes out and drinks. Go out to the
parties.
bars. Go
Yeah.
to the other places that you're not supposed to be going. And
church.
yeah, right. Everybody was going to everywhere else. And then bars and then gentlemen's clubs, like you call them. And that's what guys would do. And I was one of the best ones at it. I want to say. I was at that time. I was like, "Hey, let's go." I had the gift of gab and had all these friends, and then I'd go to the different gyms and meet up people there. And hey, let's go over here. Hey, guys, let's go. I got let's go here to this place, and yeah. But you're working
No, I think
18,
you're
19
dealing with
hours.
all the stress and everything else.
Yeah, you're dealing with
in
so
your
much
own
stuff,
way.
and it's bad. I mean, I know people can relate out there. They're listening. You're law enforcement, or you're. I mean, but it's at that time, like I said, I was different. I was a different person. I was into, what I can do, and I was still. I was a heck of a. I want to pride myself that people would always be like, hey, if you want to work, go with him. Like you want to go back to the when I went back to the station, Las Cruces, I would hear the talk of the new guys and the new girls, the new agents, and they're like, hey, if you want to get into something, go with Gutierrez. Go with him. If you don't want to do anything, go with this guy. And
Yeah,
so I'm
everybody
like,
gets a reputation at the station
I'm
for
like-
working
I'm
or
like-
not.
I'm like,
Yep.
cool. I said, all right, and that was, I mean, that was cool. I mean, I never said anything. I never bragged. I was just the kind like you were. We never bragged. We just did it.
Mhm.
We never said anything. This is what I've done. This is what I've done, and let's just go out there and prove it. Because even now, we had some new guys coming in the team, and they had never worked with me, and they would CrossFit, and they were doing all this. They work out constantly. But then we go out in the mountains and they fall asleep or they were tired. I'm like, what? I'm like, you guys are young. Come on now, let's go. It was just a different mentality.
Yeah.
I could go 3 shifts, which ain't good for your mind. Stay awake for 2-3 days and then drive back. That wasn't good. That wasn't good. But I would force myself to do it. So, but yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy, but.
So you talk about the stamina between, and this is funny because I remember, right? So we had to do our PT test every year, right? I had to be, I believe it was under 11 each year, and I'd always struggle. So I like to work out, but you can't be huge and still make a mile and a half in under 11. You got to be moving. So I'd always try to pace myself to make that 10:50, mark, just under. But you, you could run. I think you're probably the best runner on the team, to be honest with you.
Well, my secret, I want to say it was a secret, but we lived in the West Side at the time, and Franklin High School. I would, on my own, I'd have to go run at night on the track. I'd constantly do miles and sprints, and I knew when I could do 2 of the PT tests back to back, literally without hardly any breaks, then I knew that one wasn't gonna be nothing. But that's how I would literally kill myself to do it because I was getting older and it wasn't getting easier.
No,
and they didn't care. Everybody wanted to be the alpha and max out the push-ups, max out the pull-ups, max out the sprint, max out the mile and a half. And I'm like, man, and here are these guys that are 22, 23 coming in. And at that time, it was 40s. I was in my 40s already. And I'm like, ooh. And injuries, with injuries, all these injuries. So so I had to push myself to get that time, and to show, hey, I can do it. And then we had some failures. We had some people that wouldn't pass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, and I'm like, but that happens. It happens. You gotta make time for all that.
Yeah.
But that was. But you took it to another level. No,
Well, not with the running.
no, with the running.
I was fast out of the gate, but mile and a half. I would try just
But
to
still.
make the time.
Still, and now you're what competing now? You're gonna.
I am going
What
to
you
compete
doing?
in April 19th. I'll be competing in Vegas for an NPC amateur competition.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
That's a lot of discipline, man. I can't. I like eating tortillas too much.
So,
Menudo, all that good stuff. I like menudo. I like tortillas, and I try
there's
to
nothing wrong
stop.
with that.
Yeah, but not when you eat it, and then you go to sleep. But no, yeah. But I'm still trying to do. I'm still trying to do what I can with the shoulder. I mean, you can still do the bike. I can still do the bike. I do other elliptical stuff, but I like doing jump ropes. I want to get my heavy bags to get back into the punching and kicking. But with this arm the way it is right now, they tell me no, you can't hit too
So
hard.
you're not rolling anymore?
No, I
at
haven't
all?
done. I haven't
Jiu-jitsu?
done. I
Nothing?
haven't done that in a while. Last time I did it, right before I tore my leg. I mean, on my shoulder. I was going with Mondo, and I was going to try to find a place on the east side because Mondo's way on the west side. Awesome guys, man. Those guys are very humble. Nobody there wants to beat you up. I mean, I've gone to some gyms where the one guy thinks he's Anderson Silva or whatever, or Khabib, and I'm like, really, dude? And they just want to. I'm like, no, nobody here to get hurt. It's just train, And if you want to be a fighter, yeah, this is. If you don't, then, and a lot of the gyms now have gotten to that. They've realized that their clientele makes their money, makes their living, so they got to treat them right.
Right.
So, and they've come a long way. Back in the day, we just get beat up, and you came back from war. You're one of the guys.
So you used to go to Hugo as well, right?
Hugo with Bushido back in the day, back in 2000. It's funny. One of his Jorge Nieto, his brother lives in the cul-de-sac, and we met the other day, and because he had I saw two stray dogs, a bulldog and a Saint Bernard out and I'm like, whoa, no, these dogs are nice, but I'm holding them for him. And then he comes out and he goes, oh, it's my daughters. And then we look at each other and I'm like, wait a minute, I know you. And he was back in the day, back in 2000, we used to, spar back then. So I'm like, hey, here we are, 25 years later. Now and super, super nice guy. Him and his wife, we've had him over. We've been over their home. And now that we talk about all that, and he's doing another federal job now. He used to be a police officer back in the day, but very, very nice guy, very humble guy. Yeah. And it's funny how El Paso's so small that you always, somebody somewhere, you're going to wind up, coming around or seeing someone.
Oh no, absolutely. I see people all the time that I haven't seen
In years.
for years, but I'm always seeing somebody.
Even family, though. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
So if someone were to want to go out for BORTAC, all right, so they're
Don't do
thinking
it. You're going to get broken up.
No. All right. Somebody has a desire, they have an initiative, that they're working out. So I have two 19-year-old daughters, right? And their friends always come over. And some are guy friends, right? Good kids.
What? You letting
right?
guy friends come over?
Good kids, right? I call them kids.
Nobody's good.
I call them kids.
Remember that.
They're
The
already,
Bible says there's not one good person.
but I look at them and I'm like, hey, I talked to them about the Border Patrol, right? And some of them are like, hey, that's awesome. Or I talked to them about the military. Like one guy wants to go to the Navy. It's awesome.
He wants to go to the Navy.
Yeah, he wants to try out I tell him, hey, go to Buds, go to SWIC, do something extra, right? You'll solidify your career, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So BORTAC, I mean, what do you think, would you give them to, if they were to join the Border Patrol? What would you do to prepare for BORTAC?
Nothing but cows. Just a bunch of cows.
Not the gym.
Not the
Stay
gym.
out of the gym.
Stay out of the weights.
Yeah.
Just do cows. Just do nothing. Non-stop burpees, running sprints. Get your cardio really, really good, and you're shooting down. You're shooting down.
Not only shooting, but running a certain mile,
Yeah.
a mile, whatever, and then start doing the qual.
Yep.
Because remember, we had to run.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was
ruck. You had a
straight to the
ruck.
range.
Then it was a ruck.
So
It was a ruck.
It was a 6-mile ruck.
A 6-mile ruck.
And then you had I'm not sure if it was
After
up to
doing
count.
you do the PT test first, and then the ruck, and then you go shoot.
And then the
and then you go
range,
shoot.
right?
So it's non-stop in between. So
So you're tired. You're smoked.
you're done.
Yeah. So
You're done. You're done, and it's hard. And that was funny because even now, just recently, I just had a qual, uh, to get some extra certificates that I wanted to get, and the gentleman performed. He did the basic, the old time Border Patrol qualification course, and I'm like, oh man! And the whole thing in the left hand, one arm, one, and kneeling, and I almost shot it perfect. I was 1 point away because I got jammed up, and one bullet just went straight out of the 5, but not bad considering I had. But then I shoot. I try to shoot at least twice a week, with my handgun. So I still try to keep that proficient. But I was like, whoa! And then there was a guy next to me that it was bad. It was bad. They were going for something different. But yeah, it was like, you can tell. And then the guy's like, oh, you've been shooting a long time. I go, yeah, but I didn't say nothing because this guy showed up all tactical and he looked like he was a SEAL, man. That guy, he had everything on, and I'm like, man, this guy's a real deal. And
he
like,
can shoot.
And I'm thinking, oh, this guy's gonna be pretty good. I didn't say nothing. I was in jeans and a t-shirt, and I had my stuff ready to go. And then I was a little nervous. I ain't gonna tell you because I hadn't shot that quad in a long time, and I'm like, man. And for the first 9 years, the Border Patrol, I shot left-handed because I was left-handed. So they automatically thought.
So I'm gonna tell you something. I remember that because I was on the range with you when you had that enlightening moment that you were shooting with the wrong
hand. Yeah, Seagroves. So he goes, hey man, because I was having a hard time with the Beretta, the hardest time trying to get. I'm like, man. And then he goes, wait a minute. He goes, shoot right-handed. So I'm like, okay. And I started shooting right-handed. I'm like, oh, everything's there.
You were immediately a better shot.
Yeah, immediately. I was just like, everything's right in the middle. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So 9 years I was left-handed, which helped now because now when I go left-handed, it's like it's a joke. If I gotta do anything. So nine years left-handed and what? 5, 10, 14, 15 years right-handed. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's why when I shot this other one, I was just like, piece of cake. But one little spray, I was like, oh man, from the 25. So it was all right. But then we've also, with our tactics, we've done a lot of shooting on the move and then we've done it for real. That helps out a lot.
Yeah,
that helps. I think when you do it for real, I mean, it shows you where you're at as far as how you're gonna react to a stressful situation, especially some involving gunfire. Because I've seen tons of videos, people are just yelling, freaking out, and diving for cover, and it happened to us, and I just get mad. I get mad. I'm like, oh, you shooting at me? So which is sort of dumb. I just go right at them. But I don't even look for cover or anything at the time. I was just, you pissed me off, I'm going at you. But everybody else throwing dives or, and then some people are returning fire. So I was like, hey, it was cool. But I was with a different a BORTAC team at the time. And
I think it's a desire. I think everybody, or the people that are, led or born to do law enforcement. Yeah. I think everybody has a certain aspect in their, like a certain trait.
Yeah.
That is built up upon. I don't think everybody has that. Like you said, you get mad. Somebody starts shooting at you. You get mad. It bumps you up, right? To go.
And that's the
get the bad guys. But not everybody has that.
No, and that's I think a lot of it environment also because at that time my go back to like the family, the way I was brought up, my brothers and sisters were very, very, very violent, which is, bad but good, I guess. I'd always see them fighting, and even my sisters would fight with guys, and I'm like, what in the world? And it was just bad, it was dysfunctional, very dysfunctional. But that's how I was raised. So, I mean, and it's unfortunate, little child shouldn't, but it helped me with that aggressive part that you had to. Now, I just let things go. Somebody cuts me off at. The way people who drive it all past, they'll throw you a finger and want to fight with you. I'm just like, whatever. You just got to I just let it go. Forgive them unless they come out and try to attack. That's different. But I try not to let that get, I don't have to chase them anymore like I used to. Get crazy with that. That's not a good thing. But a lot of, it's just crazy. I mean, I don't know. People nowadays are, I don't know. It's.
You're going to get your NRA instructor?
Yes.
So when do you do that?
At the end of the month. Hopefully everything works out good. I'll go and do that.
Let me know how the qualification. I went to go get my NRA pistol instructor.
Yeah, you didn't tell me. Thanks a lot. You really doing all this stuff behind, just grabbing all kinds of certificates. Don't tell me anything. But yet, I want you on the podcast. Okay. No, just kidding.
It was just another cert to have. I mean,
another cert. You already got like 80.
It was a civilian cert. That was my first civilian cert, right?
Yeah. Well, all your certificates. Don't you have? Well, how many companies do you have now? Like two companies, 2 or 3? 2 companies.
Right? Yeah,
two companies.
They're all canine related, right? So I do dogs.
And
up in,
has he hired me
up-
for one? Has he hired me? Has he given a buddy? Nope, nothing. Just stranded out there.
It's all
Nah, but
based
he
around
calls me all the
patrol
time.
canines, right?
No,
So, I
you,
mean,
yeah, you do that
so-
dog stuff. I ain't doing that dog stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure I think you had put this, or you fought the dog in muzzle. So with patrol canines,
Yeah,
you can,
no,
remember you
yeah.
can put the bite suit on, or you can fight the dog in a
Yes.
muzzle, which you do all kinds of exercises for.
Yeah.
I think you hid for my dog, my assigned dog at one time. when I
No, it was. This is the guy, Rex. It was
Oh,
Rex.
okay,
Rex,
it was
and that
Troncoso's dog.
that dude was.
Yeah,
They
he
put
was
me in this little house, and they put me in these two doors, and I didn't have anything on. I just had just regular clothes, and I'm like,
the
hey
dog
man,
was a muzzle.
yeah, he was in
Yeah,
muscle,
yeah.
but they didn't see this. Is that when he came in and he was looking for me, and he didn't see me, he didn't smell me, I guess. So then I made a noise like, hey, and then he comes in and he's like, he with his claws, he's trying to open the door, and then these two doors have like a little open space, like a block, so he could put his, and then he's trying to put his muzzle, his face to get to me, and then he's trying to yank off the muzzle. He's like pulling it, and I'm like, oh no, and I'm like, hey, this dude, and I'm yelling for the guys because they're clearing the house, right, real
Yep.
slow, and I'm yelling at him. I'm like, hey man, I'm like, because I don't have anything on, and this dude bites me. I'm like, and he's Trunk's dog, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, man. And then he almost gets his whole head in. And I'm like, I'm going to have to choke this guy out, because he's going to bite me. And I push him back. I give him a big push, and like his eyes roll back. And at that time, he has blood coming out because he's so pissed trying to get to me. And I'm like, this dude is insane.
He was on another level. For
Yeah,
sure.
bro. Yeah, that dog was on another level. And then like he got mad, or I got mad, and like he hit the door, and he's literally trying to yank off the muzzle. And I'm like, this guy's trying to take it off. Well, they finally came in the room and they grabbed him and they took me out, and he was still trying to get to me. And I'm like, no, this guy is crazy. I said, never again, man. I said, I'm going to have to kill this dog. I'm going to have to choke him.
Do you
or
remember
something.
when I graduated the patrol canine course and went up to DC to do the demo for Chief Aguilar?
Oh my goodness, that was a long time ago. You did the demo for him?
It was me and Chapa from the Canine
Oh
Center.
my goodness.
We went up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I mean,
What happened?
No, it really went well. Put the Clay Thomas did a bite suit. Put on a bite suit for my dog.
Oh no.
And then Chris Lopez had his dog and muzzle. We did a short building search, but it was all for it was all coordinated
It was
for the head shed up in DC.
it was a dog and pony show.
It was.
It was all-
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing a lot of stuff with them, for the Dick Pros and all that. Yeah, fun
I mean,
stuff.
once in the inception of the Patrol Canine program, once that came online, and if you remember it was 2008, that changed everything. That made the team 100% better.
Oh yeah,
Having that asset, that canine asset.
yeah. I was surprised that even the CS gas doesn't affect them.
No.
We had a warrant a while back, and it was a sad warrant. We didn't know that the gentleman had already, at the time he was alive, but then when we went in,
That was down in Tornillo or something.
yeah, in Clint,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was gone. There was just a couple of us there at the time at the station, and they called that this guy had fired at the sheriff, and he had his girlfriend in the house. So we grabbed whatever we were there, and at the time I was in the arrest team, so I was the guy that would grab them, but because we didn't have everybody there, I became the breacher. So I was going to be the first guy to hit the door open. And I'm like, great, because we went to this guy's house and he was a survivalist. You could tell he had camouflage. I'm like, oh, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And they had turned off the power, but he had generators, so they still had power. And yeah, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good, man. And then he's saying that he's not going to come out alive, and he's going to kill anybody that comes in. And they're trying to negotiate with the poor guy, and it's starting to get dark. And we're like, well, we got to go, man. We got to do something, because he had a girl. But then he let her go, and he still didn't want to come out. So we go up to the door. We're like, we got to go. So we go up to the door, and there I am with what is the RAM? And I'm like, and I have my M4, on my back, and I'm like, this is not good, man. But you can't think that way. You can't think none of that. You just got to go and get the job done. And I'm like, I hope these guys, in case he does, I'll be the first one shot, obviously. But you can't think that way. You just get mad. I just get mad. I'm like, man, this guy better not. and I go to hit the door, and the door swings open. It was uneven locked, and I'm like, whoa! So I just throw the RAM, and I'm like, no breach, and I hear him talking. And at the time we had our mask on, and he's saying that and I'm trying to tell him to come out, get out, man, get out. Let's go. You ain't gonna do nothing. Let's get out of here. And he was just, and then the sheriff sends his dog, It's a little dog. It wasn't ours. It was a little dog, and then we hear
Quattro.
we hear a gunshot. We hear pow, and the little dog smart. He takes off running. He comes out. So we're thinking he shot at the dog, and we're like, oh no. So we're like, we got to go in now. There's a shot. So there we go. Boom. Everybody, and it came out okay. Unfortunately, he committed suicide.
That was the shot that you heard. Was,
Yeah, he committed suicide, but we didn't know that. We thought he shot at the dog. So we go in, and then the sheriffs are supposed to take care of the bottom floor. They never did. They stayed outside, and I'm watching them. I'm like, you gonna come in or what? Because me and another guy that just made the team, so him and I started clearing the whole bottom because everybody else stacked on the stairway. And I'm like, we still got this whole bottom floor. And then that's when Chapa brought in his canine. The dog I just started following him. And he was all over downstairs because, he's going to find him.
Right.
And I'm ready, in case he comes out, pops out, because it's his house. We've never seen this house before. So he wasn't downstairs. So we're like, no, everything's clear. But we're opening doors anyway. We're opening closets. We're like, oh,
Sure.
And just ready. Nothing. So we're like, okay, we go back upstairs. The dog was upstairs, goes down. We're like, what the heck? That's when we all go upstairs. We throw a flashbang and we go up. And, unfortunately, he's there.
So let me tell you. So
he's
the
there
dogs.
dead,
so let me tell you why both dogs left. When we do the training, these dogs are trained to detain, right? So we can send the dog on one command, and he'll go and locate the subject in the house, and he'll sit there and bark, right, until the handler or somebody arrives. Or we can send him on another command, which he'll go and no matter what, he's going to go bite somebody, right? So both handlers, they did send him in on a search, which is a detain if he finds somebody. But in training, we've never had anybody that was dead, a real life dead person.
Yeah.
We just have people that are hiding, right? But they're still alive. So it's much different for a dog to find somebody dead versus somebody that's alive. Right? That is why both dogs, they went in and they're like, oh, what the heck? This is different. I'm out of here.
Yeah, they didn't. It was weird. And we went upstairs and he was there with, with the right, and it was sad because his mom was trying to get him to come out as well, in the talk. And it was just a sad thing. But stuff like that you see, and you're just, you never decompress. You never talk to anybody about it.
Right.
And everybody saw it, and we're just like, oh, okay, sheriff, get this rifle, and we just stay. I stayed with the body because, we still had to clear the house. So the other guy started clearing the house, and I'm there with, and it was just like, it's sad. It's sad. Think about it now. It's like, golly, but he was maybe on some drugs, or he had to take his meds, and yeah, it's just sad.
I'll tell you another funny, a canine story. So we went to, I think you were there, but we went up to Albuquerque to support ICE, right? ICE and DEA on a raid of a complex.
At that time, remember we called ICE. They're little. We called them I can't enforce. That's what we would make fun of them every time.
Be nice to ICE, bro.
Well, I'm nice to them now, but at the time I can't enforce. I know because my cousin was in it, and I'd always give him a hard time when we'd meet him up in the warrants.
Nah, so we go up there and I give the canine spiel, right? That, if another dog comes up or whatever the case is, we're gonna have to take action because the dog is a priority, right? He's an asset. So there we are. We're in the Bearcat, and we're going down the road, and they call out the people that are ahead of us, the agents that are ahead of us. They call out there's two dogs. I go, great.
Oh,
great. So they didn't want me shoot. I told them, hey, if a pit bull or something comes up, I'm gonna shoot him. Right?
You have to.
That's it, because he'll attack the dog, and the dog again is an asset. So we pull up, and they break the chains off the gates, and there's those two dogs, and I really can't tell what they are, but I got to get out anyway. So I get Andor out, right? Ooh. And here come the two dogs, but they had assigned another agent with a fire extinguisher, right? But he didn't even get to that, right? He didn't even get to fire off the fire extinguisher because as soon as Andor started barking at them, they were big dogs, but they're little weenie dogs, right? So they took off. They didn't want nothing from Andor. Wow. They were big, but they weren't nothing. They took off. They took off running. They hid the entire time.
They knew Andor was a real deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They go, this guy's crazy. That's crazy. That's lucky. I've seen now where they have. I think we were doing a Marshall's roundup. Somebody came in with some kind of a little clicker. This agent had a. It's
a training tool.
It's a training, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there was a dog that was barking loose, and then
he stopped barking.
He hit it, and he just stopped. It was like froze, and I'm like,
it's another way of training.
Yeah, and I'm like, that dog just got messed up, and it was just a loose dog that was out there in the property, and we didn't have to worry about that anymore. We're like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I want to get that for the neighborhood dogs.
Do you remember us taking the Andor up to? I think we all jumped in the horse patrol trailer, and they hauled us up to Deming. because they didn't want the cartels to see the scouts, right? They didn't want us to.
And
They
scouts
wanted to
all
just
over that
look
place,
like
man.
it was a regular horse patrol, right?
Yeah.
But we're all piled in there.
Yep.
Do you remember that? It was like a half a mile going up this hill.
No, I remember the time when they took us in me and 3 other guys in a little work truck out there in Animas, and they
Yeah.
dropped us off in the bottom. We took us 4 hours to climb it up to get some scouts that are up there. But that's the kind of stuff that we would do because these scouts, and people don't know, these scouts, they have all the time in the world. They don't have overtime. They don't have worry about 8-hour schedule. They can sit up there, and especially in Arizona, they have it so
Yep.
mapped out, so high tech, everything that they literally own the mountain ranges because they were telling you, I mean, by luck you can get them, but hopefully all that's going to change now that they're designated as a terrorist organization. I mean, they should have been from the get go, but bad dudes, man, bad dudes.
Well, there's 1,500, I believe, the Marines. They're on the way down to the border,
Ooh.
right? And they said it was on the news. They said they're all going to be armed. It's not like last time. You remember the National Guard and some guys were down there. They didn't even have any ammunition.
No,
in
they
the
didn't have any
rifles.
ammo. They
But
don't
this
give them
time,
any ammos.
They said they're
any ammo.
prepared in case the cartels want to.
Yep, because
step up,
it's
so.
gonna, and it is. It always gets to that. I mean, and they try to bully. I remember in Isleta a long time ago, man, back in like in 06, 07, we were down there watching the National Guard that was there. It was cold. It was very cold, and we were out there watching them. And I almost started an international incident. I didn't, but yeah, that was one of many. But
Only you would start.
yeah. No, these
international
guys,
incident.
these guys were the Mexican side. They were in these pickups like always, like you see in the movies, and with an AKs. And somebody called it out. Hey, they're here with AK. They have rifle. Ah. So of course, supervisor and everybody pull back, get back. And I'm like, no, So I drove the truck into the levee down on the bottom, and I seen these guys, and I come out, and of course I have my, my subdued uniform, and I have my at the time I had disguise on, and I come out with my M4, and I'm like, what are you gonna do, And they just looked at me, and I'm like, let's go, y'all want to play, I told them in Spanish, and then I seen one guy sitting in the bush, and it was broad daylight, and he's sitting there, all tried to be all camouflage on. I told him to get up and get the heck out of there, but in so many words. So he got up and left. I go, no, we can't let them be bullies, man. I said, you can't. They ain't gonna do nothing. They just want to see if they can. And because they know, I mean, all these agents are there. So if they get into a gun battle, they were just trying to show off and trying to what do you call it? Be bullies, And I'm like, no, we ain't gonna have that. And that happened a couple of times when they tried to do that. And I was like, oh, let's go. Why are you pulling everybody back? This is the U.S. side. Why are we running away from them?
Well, when Seagroves was the commander, right? Do you remember going to that operation down? I think it was Tornillo.
Animas?
Well,
Tornillo, yeah.
They were blatantly crossing.
Oh yeah.
And the Mexican military was helping them, right? So remember, we went all in there. We infilled, and we were just waiting alongside along the banks
In the
of
river, yeah.
Yep,
Just waiting
for
there
them
all
to
night.
cross.
Yep.
And then that was a big deal back then.
Sometimes we'd go behind them because they'd cross, and they don't even know they were there because we're hiding, and we're camoed up and dressed up to blend in, and they just come in, and we just walk right behind the group, and like and then it was on then, A lot of fun stuff that we got to do, which because we wanted to, but yeah, there's a lot of and then we did a lot of Borstar. We worked with them a lot in Arizona where we rescued. I remember chasing after groups, and you'd see the little footprints, and there was babies or little kids, and you're like, this is bad because they don't know. It's 17 miles before they even hit another road or water, and they give them like a little jug of water, and they don't have no idea. And I'm like, this little baby's gonna die. This little child's gonna die. And I remember going after. We all would make it an effort. We'd all make it a point to get that group that had the little baby or the little kid, because you see the footprints on the sand, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore because the parents is carrying them, and we're like, we're getting close. And man, so many times we saved them because not only do they have to worry about no water, animals, you got rattlers out there. They get bit by that, it's a wrap. I was coming across rattlers almost every day out there in Arizona. In the daytime and nighttime. But
hats off to Borstar. They really
Yeah,
really
they did
do a great job out there
Yeah.
as well.
medical wise. Yeah, they were awesome. And then they were cool. They were hooked up, but they were always the ones that were in the nice places. We stay out there in the caves in the in the dirt
That
in
was
the brush.
that was a legitimate complaint. We'd be down there in tents.
Intense, yeah, and we're
they'd
still
be
in
in
the
Tucson
hotels. Yeah, they're in the nice hotels. I'm like, man, y'all. But hey, that's
Oh, you remember? I mean, we had a good working relationship, and it's all
Yes.
in fun. But remember
Yes.
in the old trailer over in where was it?
the one that was rat infested that we slept.
Yeah. No, the trailer we all worked in over at the station over in New
Oh
Mexico.
yes.
You know, we'd always get into it with Borstar.
Oh yeah, because Borstar,
we'd
yeah,
always
we're all part of it.
We'd give them a hard time.
Yeah, we give them a hard time because they're like, yeah, they didn't want to go the tactical guys. Y'all want to rub feet.
Yeah.
That's what we tell them.
The tape would come out, and we'd
Yes,
a couple times we'd tape Johnny Bernal. I don't know if
Johnny.
you remember.
we taped the commander with duct tape or whatever. Yeah,
It was all fun,
bad.
though.
But it was all fun. I mean, we all hooked up because if anything happened out there, and I mean, we all had each
Oh, yeah.
other's back. They had ours, we had theirs, so
Absolutely.
it was no problem. I mean, but yeah, it was cool. And then hanging out at the time, we were hanging out. The families knew each other, the kids knew
Mhm.
each other. That makes it closer. That makes it a little bit, I think that's the way it should be. If you're gonna be going into crazy stuff,
Yep.
getting into craziness, you got to know each other's family and kids. That way you can,
You know, it's one way to blow off steam as well. You know, as a group. I mean, you
Yeah.
kid around, you joke around with each other. And so
Yeah.
it's
Oh, we
all
did a lot
fun.
of that over
But
there.
when it's time to get business,
Yeah.
we're all down to business. Out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that's true. That is true. Everybody put their faces on, but we played hard and we make fun of. Oh my goodness, there's some crazy stuff that happened over there in that building, and in different places, overseas, and
Yeah. Well, Celso, thank you so much for coming out. I
Yeah, thank
really
you,
enjoyed
brother.
reminiscing and talking about
we got a lot more
good
to talk
things that
about.
are to come. Thank you all for joining Sun City Sit Rep. We have more to come. I'm sure we'll see you soon.
I heard her get in the dryer. I heard her.